Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation and NFL fans around the world, buckle up because today we are breaking what could be the biggest and most shocking defensive acquisition of the NFL season. Multiple league sources are confirming that the Dallas Cowboys have just finalized a massive trade to acquire safety Sidney Brown, sending shockwaves through the NFC and entirely reshaping the Cowboys roster and defensive identity. And yes, this is the story that every fan from Arlington to Ontario has been buzzing about, the trade that seemed unlikely even a week ago suddenly real and confirmed, and we're going to break down every angle, every implication, every reaction, and what this means for both the Cowboys and the Eagles, the NFC landscape, and the future of one of the league's most intriguing defensive talents. Now, before we dive deep into the details, let's set the stage for who Sidney Brown is and why this move is monumental. Brown, a 25-year-old safety who was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the third round of the 2023 NFL Draft out of the University of Illinois, has always been known as a hard-nosed, physical presence at the free safety spot, but also a player whose career has taken twists and turns, from standing out as a Super Bowl champion with the Eagles to enduring heavy criticism, playing time battles, and fan debate about his role and future. And now, in a stunning turn of events, Brown is reportedly on his way to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, in a blockbuster trade that is set to be discussed in NFL circles for weeks and months to come, with sources saying the Cowboys gave up draft compensation and possibly a player or two to bring Brown into their defensive secondary, a move that instantly upgrades Dallas's back end and signals they're serious about shoring up a defense that has shown flashes but lacked consistency in recent years. What makes this trade so electrifying is that Sidney Brown's career has been a roller coaster. He was a key special teams contributor and rotational safety for the Eagles, celebrated for his grit and willingness to play through pain, and he was part of Philadelphia's Super Bowl 59 championship team not long ago, earning a ring and becoming one of the few Canadians in NFL history to do so. A remarkable achievement that put him on the map and showed the kind of competitor he is. A champion by the age of 25, an accolade that for most players comes much later, if at all. Brown's story itself is one NFL fans should know. Because he wasn't a first-round hype draft prospect, he earned his opportunity through relentless effort, ascending from special teams to defensive snaps, impacting games with his physicality and football IQ, and carving out a reputation as a player who never backs down from a challenge. And while some critics have questioned his consistency or ball production, there is no denying that every team in the league, the Cowboys included, saw something special in Brown's skill set and competitive DNA at the safety position, and that's precisely why the Cowboys were willing to pull the trigger on a major investment to bring him aboard, because Dallas shopped the market for defensive upgrades, and when your team is chasing a Super Bowl, and make no mistake, the Cowboys intend to chase that elusive Lombardi trophy with everything they have, adding a young, hungry, willing to be entering his prime safety like Sidney Brown makes perfect strategic sense. Now let's talk about the context of this trade. The Cowboys, a franchise known for its bold moves and big personality under owner Jerry Jones, have often been aggressive in the marketplace, building rosters that combine established stars, rising talents, and players with something to prove, and this acquisition of Brown is no different. It's a statement, a declaration that Dallas doesn't just want to compete in the NFC East. They want to dominate, to be the team that others have to prepare for and game plan around. And the Cowboys' defensive struggles this past season, particularly in the secondary, were well documented, with breakdowns in coverage and missed opportunities costing them games. And so adding Brown gives defensive coordinator Dan Quinn a versatile safety who can bring physicality and run support, match up with tight ends, and provide a veteran presence behind the linebackers that the Cowboys have lacked. Sources close to the situation tell us that Brown's acquisition was met with excitement within the Cowboys locker room, that players have welcomed the idea of adding a teammate with his championship experience and edge, and that this isn't just another roster move, it's a culture move, designed to elevate the collective toughness and attitude of the defense, a defense that has shown flashes but also faced criticism in key moments. And for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, that mental edge, at physical presence, can be the difference between making a deep playoff run or seeing your season end earlier than expected. Of course, this trade also sends shock through Philadelphia Eagles fans and the NFC community, because Brown's departure means that the Eagles are willing to part ways with a homegrown defensive player who, despite ups and downs, was part of their championship fabric. Eagles Nation, known for its passion and intensity, has already taken to social media expressing disbelief, frustration, confusion, and even relief depending on their take, with some fans tweeting that Brown's aggressive play was polarizing a player who often brought the boom but occasionally flirted with penalties or miscommunication, and others lamenting that trading away a young championship-caliber safety is just another example of a rival getting stronger at the Eagles' expense. And with Eagles fans being some of the most vocal in the NFL, this trade is sure to be debated hotly for weeks to come. Especially because Brown's connection to Philadelphia was rooted in his journey from draft pick to Super Bowl contributor. Let's break down what Brown brings to the Cowboys schematically. His strengths include underrated zone coverage awareness, strong tackling fundamentals, and the ability to make his presence felt in run fits. You know, the kind of safety play that doesn't always show up in the box score but changes the flow of the game. Stuff like setting the edge, redirecting ball carriers, and giving defenders confidence that the deep middle is under control. And while Brown hasn't been a turnover machine with interceptions, his physicality and instinctive play style align with what Dan Quinn wants in a ball-hawking safety who can also punish receivers coming across the middle or tight ends in the seam. And you can already imagine Cowboys play calls Brown reading the quarterback, diagnosing the route combinations, communicating coverages to his defensive backs, and delivering a bone-crunching hit that flips momentum in a game. And that's the type of impact play that Dallas hopes they just bought with this trade. Now let's talk about the numbers and the financial side of the story, because the Cowboys are not only acquiring Brown's play on the field but also taking on his contract. According to cap analysts, Brown's 2025 cap charge and cash payouts were relatively modest compared to many veteran safeties in the league, making this trade not just a football decision, but a financially savvy one. As the Cowboys maintain cap flexibility while adding a quality piece to their defensive puzzle, and that's important for a franchise that always wants to compete but also needs to manage its future-proofing and long-term roster planning, because free agency and the draft are always lurking just around the corner, and having that cap space and flexibility could allow Dallas to build around stars like quarterback Dak Prescott, running back talents, and an offensive line that has seen its own battles. And now Brown's presence adds a new layer to that overall roster strategy. But of course, every trade has its critics, and some analysts are already asking, did the Cowboys give up too much? Was draft capital better spent on offensive weapons or a cornerback to match up with elite receivers? Those debates will rage. But what we know now, and this is the breaking part, is that Dallas is doubling down on defense, the kind of move that says championships are won with great defense. And in a league where so many teams focus on scoring, the Cowboys are reminding everyone that stop the other team and you give yourself a chance every week. And let's not overlook the personal angle. Brown, born and raised with football in his blood, a former Illinois standout who clawed his way into the league and achieved the ultimate prize with a Super Bowl win, now gets a fresh start on a new team, a new system, and a massive opportunity to redefine his NFL legacy in Dallas, the kind of storyline that brings fans to their feet. The underdog turned champion turned free agent acquisition looking for redemption and a starring role. Can you already feel the buzz in Arlington, in Cowboys bars across the country, in social media feeds filled with jersey mock-ups and reaction clips? This is the kind of NFL moment that brings the sport to life, unexpected, dramatic, full of unanswered questions and huge potential. And let's talk about what this means for the NFC playoff picture. With Brown now in the Cowboys secondary, Dallas's defense becomes a tougher matchup for division rivals, especially teams like the Philadelphia Eagles themselves, who now must replace his snaps and adjust to life without a player who, whether you loved him or questioned him, played with fire and brought a championship pedigree. And with the NFC landscape as tight as it is, playoff seeding, wild card positioning, division rivalries, the bitterness of past losses, this one trade could ripple into February, potentially affecting which teams make it to the big game. And don't be surprised if analysts start revising projections and tacking Dallas's odds upward on the strength of this move. Now every story has the human element, and Brown's teammates on Philly have already started reacting online, with some posting respectful farewells, others teasing rival debates, and the Cowboys contingent flooding the feeds with welcome messages, cowboy emojis, and countdown posts to Brown's first game in star blue and silver. So the narrative isn't just about X's and O's, it's about people, fans, emotions, careers, legacies, and the unpredictable nature of the NFL, where one phone call or front office decision can alter the course of a season, a franchise, maybe even a player's entire life. And in this case, Sidney Brown's move to Dallas is that kind of moment. And while we still await official confirmation from both franchises on the exact details of what Dallas gave up in draft picks or players to bring Brown, and sources suggest it wasn't cheap, that the Cowboys dipped into future draft capital and negotiation leverage, the overarching truth is clear: this is a blockbuster move. One that changes the Cowboys roster instantly, and gives them a defensive identity boost just as they prepare for the toughest part of the season. And if Brown performs at the level Dallas expects, this could go down as one of the most underrated yet impactful mid-season trades in modern NFL history, the kind that classic manuscript writers of NFL lore will refer back to years down the line as the turning point in a Cowboys resurgence, or a blueprint for how to shake up a defense and reclaim relevance. So as we close out this breaking update, Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, and neutral NFL watchers alike, get ready, because the NFL just dropped one of the most explosive trades of the year, and Sidney Brown in Dallas means drama, competition, rivalry intensity, and a fresh narrative arc that no one saw coming but now cannot ignore. And we will be right here to bring you every follow-up, every breakdown, every expert analysis as this story continues to develop. Stay tuned.